is Jillian DeFoot, founder of Different Women, an extension of Different Ministries and House to House Inc. If you're new here to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back to the DeFoot family shenanigans and all of the things that Different Women brings. I am here to empower, encourage, and hopefully inspire some young moms, young wives, and young is relative, right? I'm in my 30s, so I'm not like the youngest person in the room. And daughters of Christ, in order for you to be able to fulfill your purpose and walk in the things that the Lord has for you. Today, we're gonna hop right into it. I was woken by the Holy Spirit last night to have ministry time with my husband. For all the married folk in the church, you know exactly what that means. But I literally, the Holy Spirit woke me up before midnight and told me that I needed to do this thing. It was very frustrating for me because me and my husband had just gotten into a disagreement right before falling asleep. And biblically it says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. So I was very frustrated, very annoyed. We had said some things to each other. They weren't like mean and nasty, but we definitely had a disagreement and weren't in one accord. It was something that the way that I was woken up was actually really, really, really scary. It had let me know how real marriage is and how important it is to the kingdom. If you don't know how important and key marriage is, just look at the divorce rate. Divorce rate is absolutely insane. It's through the roof, whether you're a Christian or not. It's something like 50 or 60% of marriages are ending in divorce. And it could be for the littlest of things, honestly, because he left some drawers on the floor. Granted, it does get annoying, right? I'm about to throw his drawers out if he keeps leaving them on the floor. I'm just telling you right now. It could be because there's this unrealistic expectation of having this June Cleaver lifestyle in a millennium that does not allow for you to have that because the economy sucks, right? Where I work full-time, he works full-time. We should both be contributing to household chores. So some women are getting fed up that way. Then there's some major things that may be causing a divorce, like infidelity, where you have biblical grounds to leave. But the predominant thing is there's a heart issue where our prides are getting in the way for a lot of these things. I do not condone staying in a marriage where you're being abused or where you are being tormented or taken advantage of. I think that could come in a variety of different ways, but you do have to start to look at your heart level and work on your things as well. So last night, me and my husband had a disagreement. It was, again, like I said, nothing major, and I fell asleep because I was just annoyed. I was so annoyed. And I was woken up with literal heat on my neck, and it wasn't my husband's snoring. It wasn't him breathing down my neck under any circumstances. It literally felt like hellfire on my neck. And the Holy Spirit was giving me a very real depiction of what it's like to allow a foothold to start to take over the rest of the marriage, because it starts with a small door or window open, right? I have to fight for intimacy with my husband. I have to fight for having peace in our home. I have to fight for those things because the enemy is looking for any and every opportunity, and he's taking these small, tiny, itty bitty windows to just start to creep in. And then we get comfortable with it, right? I get comfortable with being annoyed with my husband because it is so common to be annoyed by your spouse. It is just so common. Ask any married person if they're annoyed by their spouse. They're going to tell you the truth, usually. And it's that they are. Women are annoyed with men are annoyed with women for whatever variety of reasons that could come up. But the biggest thing for me was I was annoyed with my husband for something so small and stupid, and it allowed for the enemy to start to get a foothold in my heart to create resentment towards him, right? That little bit of resentment could start to breed and create some pride that I'm better than in some capacity, right? Or that I'm self-righteous. Like that's what it's giving in my heart. And it's very frustrating to have that happen in a marriage, in your marriage bed, in your home, right? It's going to create a lot of tension. You're going to be walking around on eggshells because you are going to feel like your partner can do nothing right. Your partner is going to feel like the same thing, that they can't do anything right to please you. But it's not your job to please your spouse, or vice versa. It's not your spouse's job to please you. It's our jobs to please the King. And then as a result, out of the overflow, we are able to give freely to one another. So I spoke about withholding nothing previously, but again, I'm not exempt from anything, right? So the Holy Spirit really convicted me last night. It was like, if you let your tiny bit of annoyance with your spouse, your offense with your spouse, start to take a foothold in your marriage, and you don't resolve this now in the infancy stages, you're going to end up in a very dark place. And when I say like the literal hellfire, it was as if God was explaining to me that this tiny thing will start to snowball. And it may take years. It's not going to take a couple of days. It's going to take years, where I can start to think, well, I should just get a divorce, right? That happens much later on down the line. And I'm willing to, at that point, walk away from my marriage because I've allowed so much pride, hatred, and resentment to build up. But it started with something super duper small. The enemy knew that my marriage is something to be reckoned with. Me and my husband are a force. He was married before me. And so I'm not the first wife, right? I'm not the only woman that he's ever been with, and vice versa. My husband is not the only man that I've ever been with. Now, I've never been married before, but I had been with other men before, which means that spiritually I had been married multiple times over. That's a whole other conversation for a different day. As a result of my multiple divorces from having multiple partners, and my husband having a natural divorce as well as several spiritual divorces from multiple partners, we have experienced what a awakening like that can look like, right? We have practice with breaking things off when it gets uncomfortable for us and we don't want to fight no more. We have practice with that. That's what a breakup prepares you to do, is to walk away. It's preparing you for divorce, if it's done in a poor way. So we've had that fight. We didn't fight for purity in our other relationships. So we tried our best to fight for purity here, and still things happened. I think what's something that I didn't realize is early on in our marriage, we threw around, in our first year, we threw around the word divorce like it was a Sunday breakfast tart. I promise you. That's how frequently he said it. It was, I'm going to get a divorce from you. I'm walking away from you. We allowed that to be spoken into our marriage from our own mouths early on, that now we have to fight and pray against it as the time goes on. We've gotten really good at trying to stave it off. But the enemy knows that we are stronger together than we are apart. My husband didn't start really getting into ministry until we were together. I didn't feel like I was fully myself until I became a wife and a mother. That's not for everybody, but I knew that my calling was specifically to my home, to be a wife and a mother. As a result, I've been very intentional about speaking into my kids' lives and into my marriage in a better way after I turned on my brain and realized divorce ain't an option for us. We don't have that option like other people do, because he's already been down that road and it destroyed him, literally almost took his life out. And some of the breakups that I went through, I kid you not, almost killed me. It's not pretty. I say all of that to say, like, we cannot be just sitting here being like, oh yeah, this is fine. It's fine that I have this small little argument. We'll get over it later. Fix it now. Fix it now. Whatever that is, I challenge you, Go back to your spouse with whatever annoyance that you had with them earlier in the day and confess it to them. Confess that you were annoyed with them. Confess that you were offended by something that they said or that they did. And then find a way to resolve it where you guys are back in holy matrimony again. For me, that looked like having worship time, right? That's what the confession thereafter then looked like for resolution. That's not going to be for everybody, but for me, that's what it did. And I was able to finally sleep peacefully and restfully thereafter. That's intense, to feel the breath of Satan on your neck if I continue to allow the resentment to build. It's no joke. Do not play with your marriage. Do not play with it. It is not something that you should take lightly. When you take your vows and you say till death do us part, that can also be from like a spiritual death too. You don't want to die spiritually and therefore dissolve your marriage. Like, come on now, people. Death has many forms. Take your vows seriously. Take your vows very, very seriously. It's something that I'm learning to do more, but now I'm like super impassioned about it. Like, God gave me a burning passion to ensure that our marriages are fireproof, because I don't know if the Lord uses like fear of hell to get my attention. I should be wanting to like be spurred on to Jesus, but I have a deathly fear of hell in order for me to be spurred on to Jesus. I need to see the negative consequences first. And if that's you, then I'm telling you right now, this is nothing to play with. This is nothing to play with. When you got married, it wasn't for the cute pictures. It wasn't for you guys to do cute ministry things together. It's for you guys to like literally storm the gates of hell and pray down reformation and restoration in your homes. That's what marriage was for. That's what it's built on. And if you don't take this seriously, I don't know. I know for me, it's going to look like I'm spending an eternity in darkness and separation from love and light. And I'm not willing to burn in hell over some resentment that was for 2 seconds. I'm just not. Anyway, today was a little bit heavier than usual. I've got a couple more episodes that got to get pumped out because I have been slacking on my 30 for 30. If this was helpful, loving in any way, I'm sorry that it was harsh, but it is what it is. If this was something that you feel like other people need to hear or see or whatever, share. Comment down below if this is some of the stuff that you want to keep hearing, seeing. If you want to see a study on this, I'm definitely going to be bringing them. I'm working on that in the next couple of weeks. I got stuff that I got to get through spiritually before I'm able to do a study again. So comment down below, share it with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend, and subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing to subscribe or to watch. I'm trying to hit this 30 for 30. So thank you guys so much for all that you're doing and helping to make this happen. Grace and peace.